Okay, so last video we did fire. Now we're gonna do water as the elements of spirits progress and get more gross and more dense, closer to physicality. So firstborn of Akasa is fire. Fire's polar opposite is water. So water is naturally secondborn, or it was an even split, but that was the light. Let's investigate the dark of that creation process. So the darkness, not as in like bad or evil or whatever notions that we have been pre-programmed to connect with darkness. That's not what this is. Water. Secondborn of Akasa is inevitably the polarization of the firstborn. All things must be in proper balance. Where fire is spirit and all that it entails, water is the soul and all the tranquility that is required to quell the fiery spirit. The balance of the two creates sustenance for life. Where fire is masculine, actively, positively charged energy, water is the necessary balancing feminine potential, negatively charged energy. Where fire is electric energy, water is magnetic energy. They are equal opposites, but remember, opposites are only different degrees of the same thing. We have this pre-programmed notion of bad when we hear words like negative or darkness or below. We have to shake that misinformation. It is all about perspective. A battery would never work without its negative end. The light would overtake us if there was no darkness to create a comfortable in-between. And below is really that which supports whatever is above. So look at water with an open mind and a spirit of understanding. What kind of power could tame the raw energy of the fire? What kind of darkness could exist amid such light? We are all at one point in our lives afraid of the dark, but that is only because we are afraid of the unknown. The possibilities of danger taking advantage of us are greater when we are unprepared. It makes sense. But understand that there's a purpose for all things, even things that may make us uncomfortable. And to every light, there must be a dark. To every hot, there must be a cold. To every hero, there must be a villain. To every above, there must be a below. To every consciousness, there must be a subconscious. Water is the soul, the subconscious, the instinct, the emotion. You can study biology, anatomy, physics all your life, and you won't find the part of the body that creates, not activates, creates emotion. Emotion comes from your soul. Empathy, anger, resentment, concern, joy, love. All of these involuntary, instinctive modes of self-expression come from the water element within us. Water is the why to fire's what. Water is the spirit's inspiration. She is fire's muse. She motivates his action. He moves for her, but mostly he moves because of her, like a good man should. Surrounded by water of the physical nature in the body, the soul is both fed by and feeding its environment. In the body, water is the magnetic fluids. This is that which hydrates and nourishes you, your digestive system, your nervous system, your reproductive system, all of your hormones. Your body is more water than anything else, and water is life. And you won't find anything the water does to not be powerful. Like, water is the only thing that's strong enough to corrode metal and soft enough to come through your pores. Water is powerful. To harness the power of water is immense power. Okay. Your body is more water than anything else. Water is life. Water is the womb of light. It both sustains and progresses the action of spirit through balance. Water is cold because fire is hot. She knows what he needs and she becomes it. She is the selfless love that he could not be. She is understanding because he is will. She has a will of her own, of course, but her will is to care for others. She's the mother of the whole house. She takes the least and gives the most. She concerns herself with nurturing, sustaining, preparing, healing, and calming the energies around her. She connects everything. She's the glue, you know, the emotional connection. This is your connection. This is what reminds you there's a lot going on, but underneath all of that, there's this connection of all of it. It all connects. So don't get overwhelmed. Don't be doing too much. Chill out. You got this because of this, and because of emotion, and because of attachment, and because of remember how this feels. You know how like a dream is mostly about how it feels, not so much about how it looks. Like I had a dream the other night that I was going through a junkyard and picking up like car parts and just chewing on them to see if it would fit my car or fit my knee, you know, like I was just taking bites out of this. Like, this tastes like it would fit, you know, or not. This tastes like it wouldn't fit. But like, it wasn't, I couldn't feel the glass tearing up my gums, you know, I knew that's what was happening, but I couldn't feel it. All I could feel was the curiosity and the exploration and the approval or disapproval of this particular piece for my particular need. I mean, it's cool. I was building something obviously with car parts, but it's not about the way it looks, and it's not about the way it tastes, and it's not about, you know, the way it sounds. It's really about the way it feels, because in your subconscious state, that's what you use. Emotion, feeling. That's how you communicate. So your dreams are communicating to you through feeling. And then all of the imagery and sounds around you and shapes and colors, those are just projections of your interpretation of that feeling. That's it. I mean, it's your linear mind trying to interpret the way that feels. And that feeling is you communicating to yourself on another plane, like, this is what I want to let you understand. You should feel this, or this is how you're feeling about whatever situation. And maybe you don't understand it in your conscious state, but in your subconscious state it's stronger. So maybe if you could explore it a little bit at a stronger level, you'll understand it better. Whatever you need to do to understand it, this is what you're feeling right now. Take it or leave it, take it for what it is, or make it something it's not. Whatever you want to do, this is what you're feeling. And your dreams won't, you know, they'll use illusion to project an impression, but they can't lie. This is your subconscious. You're not actively conscious to lie. This is the truth. This is reality. Okay, so I lost where I was because I went on a tangent. Oh, okay, she is creative energy. Her fire is focused and ambitious, but she must be creative and free-flowing. She is the yin. She is grace. She is beauty. She is silence. She is patience. And she is slow growth. She is emotional intelligence. She's the subconscious activity of the dream state. She communicates through the arts, music, intuition, and instinct. This is apparent in the water signs of the zodiac: the Pisces, the dreamer, Cancer, the crybaby. Don't act like you guys aren't crybabies. You take everything really personally, and everything is drama, and it's not your fault. It's how you're made, but please understand, everything is not drama. And then the Scorpio is, you know, the warrior. Scorpio will give you a shot off their back until you fuck them over, and then it's poison that they slipped you while smiling in your face the whole time. Like, please understand, these motherfuckers are not jokers. But yeah, governed by the moon, water reacts to her mother's cycle. When the moon is full, the water element is most powerful. When the moon is new, the water element hang back. In the tarot, the water is represented by the suit of cups or chalices. Cups, chalice, it holds water. It's kind of a given. This is what pictorial representation we chose at that time to represent water. It makes sense. In the playing deck, it's hearts, because that makes the connection to the emotional aspect of it, which is cool. The first thing I always think of when I think about the suit of hearts is the suicide king, is the king of hearts. And he stabs himself with his sword in the back of his head. And I think that that's very telling, because, you know, emotions are strong and magnetic, like water, and they will pull you down if you let them. The King of Hearts knew that all too well. And he reminds us that hearts ain't no joke. Don't play with hearts. This is not a game. If you ever had your heart broken, you understand. But then it's all about perspective, you know? You can look at it purely emotionally, or you can look at it logically and step back a bit and be like, okay, there was a purpose for that heartbreak. What's the purpose? Let's find it, let's polarize it, and move on. Anyway, yeah, we're talking about, okay, so the cardinal direction assigned to the water element is the west. In the cross cipher of the Tetragrammaton, water is represented by the first hay, or window, on the western arm of the cross. A window is two things. It is a reflection of what's there. Like you can see yourself in the window. And it's a preview of what's beyond. You can see through the window into the next realm or world or whatever building, whatever you're looking through, whatever's in between you. The window's in between you and whatever that is. So the window shows you yourself, and it shows you what's beyond. So apply that here. Your emotions, they are your connection, and it's what keeps the action from completely destroying your life. Like you stop and think about things because you have an emotional connection, you know? Like if there was no emotional connection, we're just robots and we just run through and just destroy shit and it doesn't matter. The emotional connection is what keeps us human, I guess you would say, or, you know, not a robot. Like, I don't know. But yeah, it's powerful for sight. It's vision. You know, the window is vision, sight, showing you everything, showing you what's on both sides of the window, yourself included. The Platonic solid that represents water is the icosahedron, and that's sacred geometry, which we'll get into eventually. It's a whole lot, but it's really cool. The symbol for water is the inverted triangle, the upside down triangle, which is perfect because it represents that it is the mirror image of fire, which is the upright triangle. So, you know, fire is the blade, you know, the upright triangle, and water is the chalice or the womb, you know, the inverted triangle. And that in and of itself explains the male and feminine aspects of these energies. And just as fire is the birthplace of light, water is the birthplace of darkness. But darkness is necessary in order for the light to shine. Even ignorance has its place in the world. For if not for the ignorant, who would the knowledgeable share power with? If not for the victims of the world, where would opportunity for kindness come from? Obstacles are necessary in order to promote opportunity. That's it. You don't get opportunity without obstacle, you know? You can't say that you've gained strength when you've never had the opportunity to fight or to utilize the strength. You know, like you can work out all your life, but if you've never been in a fight, you don't know how much you could take before you can't get back up. You gotta know how much you can take. You gotta know your limits. You gotta know when enough is enough. You gotta know for two reasons. One, because you need to know your limitations, and two, because you need to know what kind of energy you inflict on others when you do the same. I feel like, I was talking to my son about this the other day. I feel like all the shit that we go through in life that is what we would call, you know, torturous or miserable or suffering, trials, tribulation. I feel like all of that is because one day we're going to meet somebody going through that, and we're going to be able to help them because we did it. I went through that. I've been through that maze. I know exactly where not to go, where not to turn. I know exactly, because I turned that way and it got stuck, you know, like, and I'm not saying that what happened to me is exactly what's going to happen to you. But what I'm saying is this is what I've learned from my experience with that situation, and if you fully believe what I'm telling you to be the truth, you could avoid making the same mistake that I did. You don't have to. You could totally make that same mistake, or you could make a different mistake going down the same path that I made it. But here's my knowledge. May it be a lantern on your path. That's it. And you need the darkness. You need the darkness for the light to shine through. Otherwise, you'd be overwhelmed by light. You won't be able to see anyway. Okay, so the chakra associated with the water element is the Swadhisthana, or the sacral chakra. It's your second from the bottom. You know, so the bottom is the root, the Muladhara, and then one up, right in the reproductive organs thereabout is the Svadhisthana. So it is obviously water dominant, and it controls the energies that are produced in reproduction, the energies that give you the capacity to create new life. When two become one, a chemical reaction occurs. And the chemical reaction is like an orgasm. You know, it's a burst of energy that is powerful enough to jumpstart life. I don't know what to tell you. Like Frankenstein's thunderbolt, just lightning bolt, whatever. It's powerful. Electromagnetic energy. Water is magnetic. So, women are pulled more by this chakra. Men are guided, led. I don't know, like men think with this chakra. Women feel and receive energy this way. We'll go through that later with chakras. But anyway, just as a brain center for each cell in your body copies itself to produce new cells, the soul makes copies of itself to produce opportunity for the spirit to continue to grow in the bloodline after the current body dies. We are not just generations, we are regenerations. The DNA of our ancestors lives within our blood, and each lifetime is another opportunity for advancement of the spirit, which is a continuation of the last lifetime. It's a team effort to reach the spiritual progress required in order to make the transition back to divine unity. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, when you create life within your body, you utilize the water dominant energies, which are emotion. It is definitely emotion. That it's the soul that reproduces itself in this way, and the spirit is the other end of the spectrum of the soul. So they were created at once. They were separated by gender, but they're still the same thing, different degrees of the same thing. So when the soul makes a copy of itself, so does the spirit. It's all one. So your child is essentially a carbon copy of a piece of you, you know. And the body does that. The soul does that too. The soul does that, so does the body. As above, so below. The soul does it in order to progress, you know. I only have so many years in this body. I'm gonna need backups. So let's produce backups and then progress as far as we can here and move on. In Kabbalah, the realm of Bria, the second realm in creation, is owned and operated by the water element. Remember we talked about fire was of the Absolute realm. Water is the realm of Bria, which is the next level down. So you have the three energies, the supernal energies of the fire realm in Absolute. So then when you leave the third energy and come back down, you know, get closer to physicality, you go into the water domain, which is called Bria. And the first energy that you encounter there is called Chesed. And Chesed is a feminine energy. And it is mercy in Hebrew, which is, she's like empathy, you know? Like you develop your mother instinct here, you develop your empathy for other creatures in this place, you know. You develop a lot more than that, but that feminine energy just smacks you in the face, you know, and it's just powerful. And to balance that out, the next energy is masculine in the watery domain. Gevura. Gevura is structure, law, boundaries. Like, okay, enough crybaby bullshit. Suck it up. Got shit to do. You know? Gevura. Strong, firm. Kind of a hard ass. And then when you have a perfect balance of perfect empathy and perfect strength and structure, something magical happens. It creates life. Two become one, and now we are three. The third energy is Tiferet, which is harmony. Harmony is essentially the lower level divine energy. It's, you know, you have two perfectly balanced, polarized, equal opposites of the emotional domain. Of course, it's going to give you something strong and powerful, which is, you know, you develop your ego here, which is the negative aspect of this Tiferet harmony, the ego, which is there to challenge and provide opportunity and self-sustain. Like the ego's number one goal is self-protection, self-security. So the ego is, you know, I look out for me. That's who I am. I do me. And if you're not down to do me, keep it moving, kick rocks. And then to balance that out, you have your consciousness is also created at the same time as ego. That's the polarized opposite of the ego, is the consciousness. So you have your angel and your devil on your shoulders, you know. Consciousness is not the same as individuality. Individuality is just the spirit dropped down from divine unity, and then it separated itself into genders, and then now that it's powerful as a triangle, it's expanding more. And as it expands more, it finds another balance of energies, and that makes it expand more. And as it's expanding more, it finds not only more to find, it finds more of what was already there. You know, it explores its previous energies more. So you get more will in the ego, and you get more understanding in the consciousness. It's cool. But consciousness is the birthplace of air. Air is consciousness. So the consciousness and the ego form in Tiferet, which is a balanced harmony of energies. You know, when two become one, you create something new. Now you have three. So you have fire and you have water, and boom, you get air magically. Just from balancing them perfectly, air is created. Consciousness is created. And now, not only are you independent and powerful and balanced, but also aware of it. You get awareness of self, which is fantastic, because now you're like, okay, I can be an active player. It's like you were playing a video game, and at first you were just sort of watching the initial introduction, you know, skit. But now it's the part where it tells you to pick up the controller. You have to move the buttons now. You decide, left or right. Jump, run, collect coins, beat up the bad guy, whatever it is, it's up to you now. But you have this ego situation, which is like, it tells you kind of what to do on instinct, like, or on like self-awareness, protection. It's really there for protection. So I'm not saying listen to it all the time. I'm just saying it is what it is. You know, ego's always looking out for you. But your job is not to only look out for you, you know. You are part of everything, so. Anyway, book again. So yeah, in the realm of Bria, she keeps her energies of mercy, might, and harmony in perfect condition with her loving care. The watery realm is home to creative energies and encourages independent thought and self-expression. This is where the Buddhic and Nirvanic planes dwell. Water not only magnetizes, but also carries energy. Water is the only thing that is strong enough to corrode the hardest metals and soft enough to roll down your cheek, big enough to occupy more of the planet than anything else, and small enough to squeeze through your pores. Water nourishes and cleans. It also demolishes and dissolves. Water is temperamental, like the moon. She has her rough waves and she has her calm seas. She is unpredictable. Like the man, you can pretty much tell. You know, he's driven. There's a couple things that motivate him, and if you know his motivations, you can pretty much interpret what he's going to do. The woman, well, it depends on how she feels about it. She might not always choose logic. She might choose vengeance. You never know. Hell hath no fury type deal. And that shit is so true. But it's because of the power of emotion, because emotion is the strongest motivation for everyone. You know, what's Superman's greatest weakness? Lois Lane. What's the Hulk's greatest weakness? Betty Ross. Spider-Man? Mary J. Iron Man, Pepper Potts. See? All masculine energies have the same weakness. You just gotta figure out what it is. And you got them by the balls. Pun intended.